Hey y'all, it's been some time. I have been away. As you can see, I'm in a new environment. I decided to take a week off of work just to rest my brain, to really enjoy this summer in Chicago. I'm now in St. Louis, um, house sitting for a dear sister of mine. And so I am just relishing these moments to be able to do a YouTube. I haven't had a chance to do my regular weekly YouTube channels because I've been just working hard, one, but also editing my new novel That Day in August, which I am going to commit the next few episodes to take you through my editing process. Once you have finished that first draft, the next phase is editing. And from my first novel published, Magnolias Bloom in May, to then my second published novel, In the Next Lifetime, to this one, my editing process is refining. And though it is tedious, I am finding that I like this process that I am developing as of late. So join me for the next few videos to get some tips on how to edit your first draft. One of the pieces of advice that I've gotten from really good girlfriends of mine and friends of mine is to celebrate. And so I want to pass that on to you. If you actually wrote the proverbial "the end" on the first draft of your novel, you have to celebrate that. Only 1% of the population who say they want to write a novel actually write and finish the novel. I have seen so many people just authors scrolling through Instagram who say they got so deep into their novel, they scrapped the whole thing and rewrote it. And like that, to me, I don't even understand. I hope that doesn't get me canceled, but I don't understand that, because if you have invested, like, you have to look and celebrate and say, I invested, hard stop, I invested at least 100+ hours between the world building, the character Bible, the plotting or pantsing and plotting, or a little hybrid of both. I did all of that work to scrap it and start over. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. But what I will say is, one of the first pieces of advice I want to give you, and what I'm adding to my own writing process post finishing the first draft, is celebrating the fact that I actually took a story idea from concept to finish. I don't care if it's 200, 300, 400, how many pages. My novel this time ended at about 356. Between 350 and 380 are like my magic numbers as far as pages that I end. But if you've written a novel between 75,000, I don't care how many thousands, but it's going to be in the thousands. But after you've written, 75 to 100,000 words with over multiple pages, you have to take the time to celebrate. Celebrate that you've done it. Take yourself out to dinner. Go get your nails done, or go take yourself to a movie or something that celebrates the fact that you actually finished. You actually finished this novel, and it's now ready for the next phases towards publishing, pressing that publishing button. The next advice I would give you as a part of your editing process is to take a break from the manuscript. You have lived, you have breathed, you have dreamt, you've had nightmares, you've probably done some rewriting, even though they say, oh no, if you're writing a novel, just let it come through you. But sometimes, like, writing a novel it's not like giving birth. It is actually giving birth, right? And you're reaching inside of yourself to communicate the characters, their needs, their wants, these worlds, right? So one of the things that I added to my editing process is taking a break, just taking a break. And when I tell you, I took a week break. Some people take longer, which I'm not opposed to that. But as a self-publishing author and also as one that works full time, I don't always feel like I have the liberty to take long breaks from my manuscript. I always feel like I gotta just keep pushing. So what I did do is I allowed myself to take a week-long break. And during that time, though it was hard, I watched TV. Like, I just did some reading. And I will tell you that it was such a good thing to take a break, because when I came back to the manuscript, I took 7 days. You could take as long as you feel like you need, but even just taking that 7 days helped me to come back to the manuscript ready for the next part of this, which we'll talk about next. The best advice I received, I have to big up Andrea Severson, who is an author tuber here on YouTube. She's a romance writer, amazing romance writer, was to read through your novel like a reader, to take in the story, to understand what you wrote. Like me, like I've told you, I am self-published and I also work full time. So my writing, much of the time during this process, was me stop, start. And so there's like this pushing on the brake, right, as I'm writing. And so what reading through the whole novel did for me was for me to understand the whole story from beginning to end. As you're in that writing process, you know the beats, but it was some things that I was like, oh man, I forgot about that. I forgot I even wrote that. I forgot that was a part of this story. So it allows you to take in this whole new world and all of these characters that you've created from cover to cover. Very important, as again, I am big upping Andrea Severson, and I have added that and adopted that into my editing process. The thing that you want to do to set this up, because my novel was about, I think, ended at about 356 pages. So I made a timeline. I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 week, or I think I did 2 weeks to read this novel, because I work in at times. But it was interesting. I think I finished a few days ahead of time because I actually loved my novel, right? So the first piece of advice is to establish how many chapters you're going to read a day, right? And then, set a timeline, I'm going to read it in a week. I'm going to read and make sure it's a continuous read, like you would read someone else's book, right? Where you got a bookmark and all of that. Set up for how many chapters you're going to read, and set up the date that you are going to finish reading the entire novel. I think the other thing I would insist that you do is decide how you want to read it. Like Andrea Severson, she reads her novels on her iPad, which I think, which is great. For me, because I like the feel of paper, I actually printed out all 353 pages because I was also setting up for the next phase. But I actually printed out all the pages, put it in a binder, and I read it that way. And so it was me on the couch with my binder, but figure out what way is going to be the best way for you to read it, for your pleasure and for your ease. I would say the last thing, and I didn't obey this rule all the way, but the last thing I would say to do is try to resist the urge to start red penning. And we'll talk about red penning as we go through the series, but try to resist the urge of, you know, of making corrections. Like if I saw some things, especially because I had a hard copy, I would, like, if it was an A and it was supposed to be a the, I would make that change. If there was a redundant word or something misspelled, I allowed myself, just because I was easing into logical brain, I would allow myself to make those corrections. But try not to do that. Try to just read the novel cover to cover, to relish the story, to take in the story, to understand the story. Do yourself that favor. It is the best piece of advice that I've also added to my editing process. Again, big ups. Andrea Severson, big ups. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode as we kick off the editing process. You gotta come back. You gotta come back, as the next few steps of my editing process, we're going to really get into the developmental parts of it, the actual red penning, as I would like to call it. There in those episodes, I'm going to share some tricks, some tips, and tools that you can add or consider adding to your own editing process. This is not hard and fast rules, right? Like, I don't give hard and fast rules. I give tips and tricks and tools, right, that can help you develop your own process. So much of writing is about your own process. No one can ever tell you this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it, because writing is such an individual process. So make sure you come back. Make sure you review my other videos that talk about writing in your 2.0 stage, that talks about genres that may be of interest to you if you are just starting to write. And just hang out and press the subscribe button so we can keep seeing each other. Thank you for joining me, and I cannot wait to see you for the next episodes as we go through the editing process of your first or second or third or eighth novel or whatever. See you soon, and thank you for subscribing.